Hello everyone, and welcome to the Epilogue of Sonic Omens. Previously, Sonic managed to defeat the Exiled, and as the story draws to a close in Sonic Omens, I proceed to read the infamous Google document. Well, here we are. This is the Sonic Omens Google document titled Sonic Omens and the Downfall of Ouroboros. So, I mentioned it, I think, once or twice during the other videos, but now I'm actually going to get into it and read this and go into details and give my inputs about it. So, Sonic Omens and the Downfall of Ouroboros. The bystanders who were named in this document had no involvement. Do not harass them in any way. Warning, this document will contain explicit stuff specifically found in the Maria texture section. Yeah, the gloves are coming off. I am not going to censor any of this. I am going to say exactly what is typed in this document. Hello, my name is Farkle and I am the writer of this document. You may wonder why I'm in the @SonicOmens Twitter account. Well, I did ask the owner of the account if he could publish my document, so no, I don't own the Twitter account. Anyway, this document was written because of Ouroboros Studios' actions. They have been involved in harassment, paywalling Sonic Omens previews behind Patreon and on a Russian Patreon equivalent. The project also stole music from Cars 2 the video game, and they are spreading lies about the past drama. This document wouldn't have existed if they didn't harass me and encourage their fans to go after people who did not like the game. And I am seeing multiple videos of people breaking down the game, why they didn't like it, some parts they did like, and just overall very honest impressions and reviews. But I guess Ouroboros Studio is not taking that professionally. They are doing it again with Patreon and on other Patreon pages. Sonic Omens originally had beta builds hidden behind the paywall subscriptions on Patreon until the backlash they got, which basically ruined their reputation for not handling criticism properly. Yep, there it is. They reworked Bolt's personal Patreon into Ouroboros Patreon, which hosts their original IP projects. However, it still holds Sonic Omens related development stuff, excluding beta builds. These images were taken from their Patreon through Inspect Elements. So I'm guessing, okay, yeah, I see it now. So from the looks of this, I guess this is what happens. I guess on the top here is what happens when you go get back this on Patreon, and then the bottom is when you don't. I mean, that's what I'm getting from this. Cause look at the trees, actual leaves, and there's actual more botany here. Here on the bottom, everything is just dead and not really lively going on here. It's just branches. Yeah, so I can actually see. I could be wrong, and feel free to correct me, but I'm guessing this is what happens, if you do or if you don't back up that Patreon. My issue with Patreon is that the original IP projects are basically non-existent because it's overshadowed by Sonic Omens posts. They don't advertise Sonic Omens in their Patreon description, but if you just scroll down, you will find out that multiple posts are filled with Sonic Omens content. Now, not only that, but Patreon isn't even the only thing they have. If you go to their VK page, which is a social media platform like Twitter or Facebook, it also allows you to donate people money through donations. You can find posts advertising a Patreon equivalent called Boosty, which advertise Sonic Omens. If you go to the Boosty page, it literally hides Sonic Omens content behind a paywall. So yeah, they're trying to profit off of this fan game here. And not only that, and I think it's later down in this document here, that actually it continues here. The Boosty page is filled with a lot of the Boosty page is filled with a lot of Sonic Omens posts that are hidden behind the paywall descriptions, like the Patreon page. The people in the Sonic Omens Discord server kept mentioning that the Patreon had nothing related to the game, but now suddenly it's related to the project. So which is it then? Patreon and Boosty are definitely used to financially support Sonic Omens development. They are using Sonic Omens as a way to jumpstart their career. They haven't learned anything from the backlash, and they know that they can get away with it because of the amount of people defending their actions. So it's just arrogance on their end, I feel. And then I actually dug around in their Twitter too, so they got some stuff planned, but I don't know if it was officially just off the ground yet. Dragon of the Edge. Dragon of the Edge is a DreamWorks How to Train Your Dragon fan game, so you might wonder, what does that have to do with Ouroboros? Sonic Omens wasn't their first fan game to hide beta builds behind a paywall subscription. I found out about the fan game when it was mentioned in the unlisted Q&A video from Ouroboros, related to one of their How to Train Your Dragon fan animation projects. Actually, How to Train Your Dragon. So I decided to Google it, and I came across a YouTube channel named Alexei Kulikov, I think that's the name, which in one of the latest videos has a link to both a Patreon and a Boosty page that hide the beta builds behind the paywall subscription. This game existed before Sonic 2020, aka Omens, was even a thing. It's not clear if Ouroboros was involved in the project in the past, but I assume thanks to the Q&A video that Ouroboros at least had some involvement. And I believe if I click on here, there won't be a... Yeah, so all YouTube links are pretty much dead on this thing. They don't lead to anywhere. Do you keep on developing the game? Dragons on the Edge. If we make dragons for episodes, they will automatically appear in the game. Okay. Game Jolt ads. Sonic Omens Game Jolt page has the most amount of followers out of any Sonic game on that site. Since Game Jolt is a website where most Sonic fan games are downloadable, this makes it the most popular Sonic fan game according to Ouroboros. But that begs the question, what makes it popular? Is it because of the controversies surrounding the game? Here's the most notable thing about the page. Why does it have ads? If you're using Game Jolt to publish your game, you have the option to turn ads on or off. The option even says, only do this if you don't want your game monetized, or if your game is subject to a license that doesn't allow monetization. It is important to note that creating a new page for a game might cause the option to be automatically active, but when configuring the page, you should have at least read every option that's offered. They tried to monetize this on pretty much everything. Patreon, Boosty, and now Game Jolt via ads. So yeah, they're really trying to make a quick buck out of this. They have been making money through showing ads thanks to Sonic Omens. I presume this has been running since Sonic 2020 was released on Game Jolt. Bolt. Before the Patreon drama, a friend of mine named Venturu was going to be the voice of Shadow. The demo track I heard was pretty good. One day she needed a new microphone and told Bolt that it would come in 2 days. When telling him that her new microphone came, she realized that she got replaced and Bolt did not tell her. What he did was extremely unprofessional. This is why Shadow sounds like this in Sonic Omens. She was planned to voice Sonic as well, but also got replaced. So wait, a female voice? Both Sonic and Shadow? It's speculated that Bolt meant to poke fun of Chaos X with this tweet. Well, after the episode release, it turned out to be a disaster. Maybe Bolt shouldn't poke fun at stuff that will backfire. So, I did hear a little bit about this, where due to getting a new microphone, the voice of Shadow had to be replaced. I honestly don't know why they did that. Like, they honestly should have waited, but at the same time, was it because the episodes were nearest completion? Like, I didn't really notice that much of a difference with the Shadow voice. And I honestly don't know, like... Yeah, I honestly don't know why they went with the voice direction that they did for Sonic with the whole Jason Griffith impersonation. Personally, I dig the Roger Craig Smith voice more. But, yeah, there are moments where I feel like the Jason Griffith impression just feels forced, if that makes any sense. And, you know, as for Shadow, I get it, it's a Russian, you know, development studio, so of course he's going to have the Russian accent, but I didn't really notice that much of a difference between the voice change. So yeah, I'm very curious about what happened on the voice actor on things. And then here's them poking fun at Chaos X. Shadow Glider confirmed. I hope the gameplay turned out to be no worse than that of Chaos X. I don't know why they're even trying to bring him and her into this. JOH. JOH is known on Twitter for going after people for their opinions on the game. He tried to make fun of me and my project once, so here is some old conversation I have with them. Then it says, "Hello, clown. Where's your review? I've been waiting for this since summer. You know, I want to understand how deep the schizophrenia, okay, of an idiot like you can be. Your past speeches were great fun. Don't let me down. Hey, funny screenwriter clown. I think it would be the best to watch the game burn instead helping you on how do you fix it. It's just pointless to release a video on how I can fix it when the team behind the game cannot even listen to criticism." True enough. I don't even know why they're bothering with this cyberbullying here. Here advice from a person who has the status: creative Sonic Unleashed, Java Ultimate, and unnamed Spark fan game, which probably hasn't even finished school yet. Of course you can know something. No, it doesn't even sound like a joke. Twitter bio is outdated. Have you seen my Spark mods before writing this tweet? At least I don't rush projects. My projects unlike you guys do, and what does it have to do with school? As I said in the past, don't you guys have a fan game to finish? Yeah, so they're just going back and forth here. Sonic Omens is so bad that it makes me lose my motivation on working on a review, still forcing myself to finish it. Come on, we are tired of waiting already. Your stream was great, the whole department laughed. Don't you guys have a fan game to fix? Yeah, like, look at this. Like, really, man. All that time devoted in this little argument here could have been devoted in finishing the project, so that way someone can actually review it and give their honest criticism about it. One time he tried to bother me on a tweet related to Sonic Omens because I hadn't released my yeah, see, there you go. I haven't released my review yet. I mean, was the game finished? Okay, because if it's not finished, then there's honestly no point in reviewing it. So, you know, I feel for this guy just waiting for the game to finish so he can actually review it from beginning to end. And then, yeah, all of this is a mess. Like, all of it. He had a meltdown after getting ratio on Twitter because he called me the only Spark the Digester fan that exists. The Spark community did not take this kindly. Yeah, I don't even know. He also tried to go after a user called Sonic Omens, which was a roleplay account that had nothing to do with the fan game. And then he goes on to say, "Dude, in the name of God, change your nickname to at least Sonic Omens if you want to. All my editors have already complained to me about you. It is simply impossible for them to search for information because of the flow of replies to your address." After the user changed their tag, someone went out of the way to make a new account called Sonic Womans, just by adding a W on the word Omens. With the old user tag, Sonic Omens, it was basically an account made with the purpose to clown on the fan gaming's developers. I managed to get in contact with the owner of the account, who accepted to post this document on Twitter. Also, he said hi. Oh, that's nice. Okay. Alright, now for the one. This is the one that I actually wanted to get to. And yeah, I'll get into all the weird aftermath after I'm done reading this part. John R1SE, or just simply John Rise. John Rise is one of the composers for Sonic Omens. He is known for the tracks such as Child Paradise and Area 99. Great tracks, I might add. The music is okay, but what if I told you that one of the songs rearranged a track from Cars 2, the video game? Basically, he took a song, changed the instrumentals, and claimed the song was original. The song's name is Unknown Race. Unknown Race is higher quality rendition of the DS version of the... Okay, there it is. Unknown Race is a higher quality rendition of the DS version. Okay, so that's what that was. Also made a match of both themes. Okay. this is where I scratch my head in confusion, because I did listen to both tracks and I'm honestly not getting it, because even though, like, I even done this myself. I mean, I did a little mashup just for my sake. I never actually, published it, but when I read that and then I shared it to a friend, he also had the same reaction. Like, I'm not getting any similarities from this at all. I mean, maybe it's just the instruments, maybe it's just different guitar riffs. Again, I'm not a musician. Actually, yeah, for anyone that is a musician, you can feel free to explain how Area 99 could be based off of Cars 2. I'm guessing it's the tone or the instrumentals. Again, I have no idea, because you mean to tell me that Area 99 bears similarities to Unknown Race, which is basically a higher quality rendition of Oil Rig Race from the DS version of Cars 2. I'm honestly not hearing it. Even when mashed up on my own, like, I don't even know. I don't get it. Like, even with the mashup, it's still, I got nothing. So yeah, weird stuff all around. I honestly don't get it. I'm sorry, but again, it could be the instrumentals. It could be how it's performed. Again, I'm not a musician, so I have no clue. But yeah, again, I will take any explanation, even if it's something that I don't quite understand, that I would gladly research on. I just like to know how Area 99 is anything like Unknown Race from Cars 2, the video game. In the past, John has copyright struck people for re-uploading his music or making remixes and mashups. Oh my god, this is why I hate copyright on YouTube. Not only that, but the people who re-uploaded Sonic Omens soundtrack were both fans of the music and fan game itself. But instead of claiming the video, he decided to strike down an entire channel. Yes, he has every right to do this, but those were fans of his music and the game. He could have at least asked them to delete those videos instead of permanently getting rid of their platform. Like, you can actually do that? Like, that's how abusive copyright is on YouTube. Like, and it's so disheartening now that someone can be heartless enough to just downright delete someone's channel. Like, it's both heartless and just arrogant that they can just pull that type of shit. Seriously, it's, to me, that's just unprofessional, and that's all that this is on, you know, the developer side of things. Whether you're the one programming, whether you're the one coding or composing, playtesting, you know, anything, any involvement with this, like, that's all that it is. It's just, no, it's unprofessional. The whole thing is unprofessional to me. Yeah, so then we get more back and forth here, especially with, you know, John Rice. I mean, hey, I also had a conversation between me and John on why I was banned from the official server. I was banned because I made a video in which I called out the developers. This is information that I was not supposed to share, but I'm still going to because I feel this is important. No, that's fine. So according to John, I can't express my opinion freely, and I should tell them privately instead. You can't even be critical on their server without getting banned. So what's the point of it then? A long time ago, John made a tweet where he called people angry Twitter pussies. He did this because he was mad at people who were questioning the legality of their Patreon and raiding their old Discord server. He blamed @Tracker TD for the server getting raided, yet he wasn't even involved in it. So yeah, we're just finger pointing at this point and not even trying to take that. Like, that's like their other problem, is they don't take criticisms to heart, and it also feels like that they just want to play the blame game by pointing the finger at someone else instead of being held accountable for their own actions. And then we get this here. 3 months during long nights between my primary job days, I worked hard as I can on Sonic 2020 music, but because some angry Twitter pussies can't check actual information, whole project got undeserved troubles, including me. Rito story and pick. It was okay when people noticed an incorrect description on Patreon and asked us about it, but when people began to blame us for illegality and shout out insults, it became not okay. When description was changed, but people were still angry, it still wasn't okay. But when people smash entire 4K person Discord community and toxic attack, it became total madness. 3 months during long nights between my primary job days, I work hard. Okay, this is just. Oh wait, no, I kind of read this part already. Hold on. 3 months during long nights between my primary job days, I worked hard as I can on Sonic 2020 music, but because some angry Twitter pussies can't check actual information, this whole Honestly, I'm not sure that I want to work with community that allows this toxicity to exist and ruin the reputation of people which making content with love for fans. I'm sorry, but as long as people like Tracker TD can create this wave of hatred and others can libel freely, here will be no place for artists who really know how to do their job, and fans will not see quality content. So now your turn, community. What you prefer? Congratulations, Tracker DT. Thanks to your efforts, people are suffering undeservedly. I mean, this is coming from the guy that literally took down an entire channel because they shared the music and tried to do mashups of it or covers of it. Like, again, why can't he just appreciate the fact that someone actually listened to the music and they wanted to show that appreciation by making remixes or covers or, you know, stuff like that? Okay, people do covers and remixes of music on YouTube all the time, so why get butthurt about it? It really doesn't make any sense to me. So basically, JOH made a tweet responding to the misinformation people were spreading about the fan game, so I decided to write my own response. The problem took place in the fall of 2022 on Bolt's personal Patreon page. There was a goal set for the level with Shadow. Those who donated could participate in beta testing of the levels of the upcoming Shadow of Water episode. The donation was absolutely optional, but solved the issue of motivating the testers, people who donated, and gave the developers at least some guarantee that they would not spoil the content before the release. In this case, the guys put us in a negative light. We never sold the game or advertised our Patreon. When a game is considered ready, we publish her. Okay, here is a typo. I find it funny that they kept lying about how they were never hiding any beta bills behind a paywall description on Patreon, but now they accidentally admitted it. The Shadow of Water episode was released on promised time in July 2020 and was absolutely free. Yeah, now I think that was before the game was finished. Yes, it was released to the public for free. However, the beta bills were hidden behind a paywall. After some time, some Twitter users considered the materials on Patreon to be a violation of the copyright law. When it was brought to attention, the team couldn't even understand the problem. Donations even like that kind of never been flamed by anyone. Modders, artists, animators had those. Moreover, it was a personal Patreon Bolt. It was not created specifically for Sonic 2020. However, people were worried, and after consulting with his team from Mania Team, Bolt removed these goals from his Patreon and did not plan to do anything similar in the future. The issue has been closed. The community had nothing to worry about anymore. They clearly know that they were doing this since this wasn't the first fan game they were developing behind a Patreon paywall. They unlisted all the videos about the Dragon of the Edge fan game I talked about earlier from the Ouroboros channel. However, I managed to find unlisted videos about it through their Tumblr. I linked into another project that they called Dragons Revival of the Night, which also had a donation page. This is also where I found that Q&A video that I mentioned, Dragon of the Edge. Bolt's Patreon was going to them personal, but it was only renamed to Ouroboros after people called them out. So what will be the explanation for that then? Bolt contacted his friends in the Ouroboros Studio animation community, with whom he had previously worked on various projects. Since then, Sonic 2020 got a new team, and Patreon became part of the social networks of Ouroboros. Although projects were removed, Patreon received a complete rebrand and also started to be used for the team's original projects, which attracted the support of the people from the country where the main Ouroboros community is based. Everything published from Sonic 2020, later known as Sonic Omens, was original content, such as bosses, team created assets, original soundtrack, and concept art. Ouroboros had every right to monetize that content, right? Because it's original. Well, yes, they have creations that are non-Sonic related. The important thing they keep forgetting is that making fan games should not be about passion. Should be about passion and not for monetary gain. Well, they completely ignored it and decided to paywall Sonic Omens related content behind Patreon again. In the wake of the hype, a number of YouTubers and Twitter users decided to accuse Ouroboros Studio of monetizing someone else's IP after the general enthusiasm enthusiasms, the aggressive minority raised a new, unfounded wave of hatred, to which Sega community managers themselves had to respond that they will solve problems on an individual basis and not judge all content makers. Bolt had a personal dialogue with them. All social media had been locked through and no violations were found. Everything was fine with Sonic Omens legally, and the development continued. So, how did this happen? You're telling me they didn't find any violations? It took me 5 minutes to find 3 donation pages, 2 of them that keep advertising Sonic Omens. After all that, the development of the final episodes has not been stopped. One of Sega's community managers is even currently on the Sonic Omens Discord server. Sega has not canceled any fan games. Community of the Ouroboros Studio is also promoting the pilot episode of its animated series, The Adventures of the Bard of TL, in August, and is gearing up for production on the original game, Race of the 9 Worlds. Well, I'm pretty sure we all know the true intention of Sega community manager, to keep an eye on the team. Is, yeah, all that they could have done. So, when it comes to companies like Nintendo, who are just notorious for cracking down on fan games, I feel like for an instance like this is justified. But if it's a fan game that has no profit, where it's just a bunch of artists and programmers and whatnot just showing up and working on this project in their free time, no monetization, no compensation, it's just make the game and release it to the public. That's it. You know, that's where I feel like that is fine, because, you know, outside of the fact that they're basically just playing around with someone else's IP, at the very least they're not making money off of it, because, I mean, why bother? You know, in the end, fan games are just passionate projects. So, you know, what's the point of even making money off of it? JOH also mentioned that they are promoting the original pilot episode of their IP, but the thing is, their Patreon has more Sonic Omens related stuff than any of their IP has. On top of that, Sega not canceling any fan games doesn't mean that Omens isn't doing a bad thing. That means that Omens most likely isn't making enough money for Sega to go, we have to cancel this fan game as soon as possible. Sega is most likely watching Omens to see if the team goes too far with it, or if other creators follow their footsteps. If that does happen, that would mean Sega is going to have to take drastic measures for fan games in the future. They should have made drastic measures for this one. Like, they should have put their foot down the moment they knew about the Patreon. That's where I would have just said, no, you need to stop this. Like, you can keep making the fan game, you just can't monetize it. Otherwise, we're going to have to do some legal battles here. Recently, the announcement of the release date of the final episodes of Sonic Omens took place. It will be in August 2022. And once again, in the comment section, there are people who did not know any of this information, only bits and pieces. Judging by their accusations, the team was accused of planning on selling the game again, accused of having been selling the game before, again, blamed for the possibility of all fan-made Sonic games to be banned because of Sonic Omens again. The point is partially correct. They did not plan to sell the game, but JOH did lie and say that they never sold their fan game behind Patreon subscriptions. I mean, they tried to paywall beta bills and could motivate other people to do the same thing because of them. Roblox had and still has this issue with Sonic fan games. If you believe this crap, then how about you also go ask Team Season 3, the 3rd season of Sonic Side AM, MeToons, Sonic villains, about their Patreon pages and how they compete with Sega, which together with Netflix are now making Sonic Prime, which I don't give a shit about. There is no difference here. Sega is a multimedia company, but it's only Sonic Omens that received this drama again and again, despite never having sold a single copy of the game to anyone. This really shows that these guys prefer to throw other people under the bus just to make a point. It is debatable whether fan animation projects should accept donations, but the funny thing is that the creator of Sonic Omens actually supports a Sonic fan animation project that accepts donations. Sega isn't an animation company. They make games first and foremost. They license their IPs out to animation studios rather than making them in-house. Yeah, that's always been the case. Sega has stated that they are making no money off of Prime. Really? Okay, yeah. Not that I care about Prime, but I'm guessing it's whatever animation studio is making Prime. They also do not own the rights to the Sonic movies that belongs to Paramount. So I'm just gonna assume it's like partnership because um Sonic is honestly no stranger to animation of any kind. Whether it be Deke when it comes to Sat AM or Adventures or I think Underground. No stranger to TMS with X. No stranger to Ouidu Productions with Boom. So I'm guessing it's Sega is just handing off, or at least building up some kind of partnership with these animation companies to make all these cartoon, anime, or movie adaptations or spin-offs. So yeah, indeed that they don't really. I don't know about Night of the Hedgewolf. I don't know about that one, but yeah, Sonic straight up in the beginning, is a video game franchise that had animation potential, and that potential did pay off. I mean, look at Sonic Sat AM and season 3 of Sonic X, and boom. Okay, and then you go on to see the other things that these other movie or animation productions have produced over the years. They also do not own rights to the Sonic movies being on Paramount. The difference is that Sonic Omens could be seen as a competition for Frontiers. There's a change that people could go out and say something like, why would you buy this $60 game that might not be good when you could support this fan game that looks more promising? That is considered competition. It would not be the same if people said, why would you buy Frontiers when you could watch the Sonic Side AM revival? That's not competition for the games, and therefore not taking money away from Sega, since they don't gain any money on that front. Okay, yeah. So if it truly is about competition, I remember, see, and this is the weird thing, because at first, when rumor was, I mean, back then, way before Frontiers got announced, I thought on my end, and I'm actually thinking about it, like I'm thinking way back before it was even a thing, because I heard, I think, rumors about it, or a little announcement that there was a new Sonic game, but it was called Sonic Rangers, and I figured, why are they making another Sonic game after Forces? Because Forces, where I just effectively just dropped the series, like I fucking dropped it. And when Rangers got announced, I thought to myself, yeah, I don't really give a shit about this. And then that's when I saw all those footages of the not really Omens in particular, but there was bits and pieces of, I think, demos of what the Infinity Engine could do. And that was when I saw characters like Sonic, Shadow, Blaze, and I think Metal Sonic and Seaside Hill. Then that's one of the demos for the Infinity Engine. And then demos for Sonic P06 were coming out as well. And around the time when Frontiers got that little teaser, I think that's when the rest of Omens got fully released. So I know that there are some people out there that like to compare Frontiers and Omens, but for me, to my understanding, Omens just plays like a regular boosting Sonic game, and Frontiers is open world, where Sonic can just, dick around all over the damn place. At least from my understanding. I have not seen much of the game because, I'm done. But, from what a friend of mine told me, that, yeah, they're really trying to aim for an open world Sonic game with Frontiers. And for Omen's case, you know, it's just night and day, really. Where, Omens plays like a traditional, 3D Sonic game, between, 2008, 2011, or 12. And then Frontiers is just, okay, here's Sonic in open world environment. Here it is. So, I get it, it's like compare and contrast, but at the same time, I can't help but feel that trying to compete with the two, is no different than... Honestly, it's like comparing, it's like trying to beat metal with a plank of wood. That's like the best way I can say it, because, I mean, I don't know how polished Frontiers is. I don't know how good Frontiers is, but some people are giving it high praise, which rightfully so, because I said in the diatribe, I won't be surprised if Frontiers receives high praise only for something after to just, bite the dust. So, yeah, whether Frontiers was good or not, it honestly didn't matter to me, but again, it wouldn't surprise me if Frontiers was considered good, and a lot of people are saying that it is. Omens is just... It's like they just... Yeah. Maybe I can understand why they couldn't take the criticism to heart, because... I guess as the game was being developed and the episodes were coming out, that people were becoming more and more frustrated with it, and honestly rightfully so, because I can't imagine designing a game like Omens the way that they put out. I would have just said, take this back, change a few things, let's try it again. Tweak this, change that, scrap this. Do anything to make sure that this product is just better, and unfortunately that's not the gift that people were receiving. In fact, like I said in those other videos, and I'm gonna say it here, Sonic Omens is a game that was made out of spite, because they're trying to gain finance through this game with the Patreon, with the Boosty, and everything else, and I think that's the worst of it, really, is they're receiving all this financial support, and then they're releasing the game in, the current state that it is now. Not just on a technical standpoint, but, for design as well. Because if I worked on this game, I would not see myself releasing it. Given the level designs, given the story, given, everything that's been going on. If I were in Ouroboros Studios, with the conscience I have now, I would have just said, we're not releasing this the way that it is, or we're just not going to release, this game with the level of quality that it has now. No, like, I honestly would not. I would have just said, no, we're taking this back and we're going to fix a lot of things, because people will hate this. And since they didn't take criticism, they just said, fuck it, let's just release it. Like, let's just release it and just not give a shit about the criticism. I mean, who cares? They're gonna eat their shit up anyway, right? Yeah, no, that is not the way to go. Jesus Lord, like, come on, man. I don't even know how big of a studio this is, but I can say this much, that Sonic Omens is quite possibly the most impressive 3D, Sonic fan game out there. And that's kind of rare, because what other 3D, fan-made Sonic game is out there? There's Sonic Robo Blast, there's the Green Hill Paradise, there's Sonic Utopia, and then there's Sonic GT, and then you're looking at all these other Sonic fan games in 2D. Like, there's before the sequel, there's after the sequel, and then there's Sonic in the Fallen Star. And there's plenty of other, like, there's like a whole crop field filled with 2D Sonic fan games. Like it is, as far as the eye can see, and the 3D fan-made Sonic games are far and few between. Again, you know, GT, Utopia, Green Hill Paradise. I don't know if Robo Blast would count because it's like a 2D game that plays like a 3D game, but I think it's still 3D. But yeah, the level of 3D and 2D is just, I would say it's no different than Frontiers and Omens. Like, just, there's more 2D than there is 3D, and the level of quality in Frontiers supposedly is higher than it is in Omens, because, you know, I don't know how they tackled the open world stuff for Sonic in Frontiers, but for Omens, it just wasn't designed well, and that's one of the criticisms that people are giving this game. The game is just, you know, has a great start, but it progresses so badly. Sumi Chin, hope I pronounced that right, is a voice actor of Eggman in Sonic Omens. But before that, Sumi Chin made a slightly negative review on Sonic Omens. After Ouroboros invited him to work for them, he then made a positive review on the fan game, which, while purposely ignoring its biggest flaws. The fact that their censorship directly affects the people they're working with is crazy to me. Recently, Sumi Chin streamed Omen's new episode where he was struggling with the Maria boss. I hate that boss, by the way. I'm pretty sure I can speak. I speak for everyone by saying that. The developers who were also present in the stream were making fun of him, and that caused him to rage quit. If your own team members struggle to beat your game because of how batshit insane the difficulty is, and then you make fun of them for it, that just shows how awful of a person you are. And once again, I think this link is... Oh, no, wait. No, here it is. So yeah, needless to say that he was incredibly angry, and yeah, let me tell you a thing about Omens. Amos VA in this game is a YouTuber. He streamed Omens yesterday, played for 2.5 hours straight. Omens' level design is so atrocious that it drove him mad, and he had a mental breakdown after struggling to beat it. Oh, and the developers were also present on stream. They made fun of him for struggling the whole stream. Yeah, I don't know why they bothered. And I'm just gonna assume it was the tree level, because I'm pretty sure everyone else also, you know, had several things to say about that. Censorship drama. Ouroboros have been involved in blocking groups on VK. Let's say there's a group named Sonic Fan Game Lovers, and on the page you can see who's a part of the group. What they did is that they looked up the entire list of members, and if they find someone they don't like because they were negative about Sonic Omens, everyone from the group will be blocked. They did the same thing to a Russian YouTuber who was going to make a negative review on Sonic Omens. One of the examples is a YouTuber called Solarian Eleanor, who made a mixed review on Omens with his friends. When the team found out they were going to make the review, he and at least one of his friends were blocked for the reason supporting unwanted content. Right, so unfortunately I don't read or speak Russian, so yeah, for anyone that knows this person or has seen the video that does speak Russian, or at the very least can translate it, that video is there for, you know, your convenience. There's a video that shows that over 167 people were blocked for being associated to the group that they didn't like. More proof blocking. Yeah, they're just basically just hushing anybody that's just speaking ill will about the game. Ouroboros were planning on striking Soyan Eleanor's, I believe that's how you pronounce it, review down to make the guy apologize. That's the way the world works. It isn't good. It isn't bad. Everyone's worried about their own ass, and that's fine. Man did what he thought was right, hurt someone, that's okay. He'll have to live with the consequences. That's how we all work. I'm thinking about the consequences that will happen if I'll send multiple reports on violations within his content. There would be so many that his channel would be at least demonetized. And once more, we're going to the back and forth. Again, there's a lot of bickering, and yeah, it comes with the turf, I feel. Alright. Then we got the big one here. Questionable Maria textures. So recently in my private server, someone, who I'm not going to mention the name of for safety reasons, found an underwear texture for Maria. On the texture is written bad girl, like what the actual fuck, she is 12, what the fuck. And then someone actually showed images of it. Try to think like a pair of bra panties that says bad girl, like the kind that you would buy for a girlfriend. I don't know, but people actually do that. Just for, I guess, just sexually amusing purposes. I know it's kind of weird, but this counts as sexualizing minors, and whoever thought it was a good idea to make this. To my knowledge, this texture is not visible, or at least obscured during the boss fight, meaning this was added by someone for fun. Why would they do this? Oh my Jesus. Okay. What can we do about this? Just don't support their game. Don't even play their game or support their projects. Support other fan games such as Sonic and the Fallen Star, Sonic Triple Trouble 16-bit, Sonic GT, and SNK Neutronic Panic. Tell your favorite Sonic tubers to not play Sonic Omens. Making fan games should be about passion and should not be about monetary gain. If you really care about earning money on an IP you don't even own, it really shows how much of a greedy scumbag you really are. Farkle. And then that is the end of the Google document. So, with all this said and done, I think it's safe to say that Sonic Omens is just not a quality assured product. Ouroboros Studio. Oh yeah, one more thing. I don't know if this is actually addressed, but in one of the stages, I forgot which one in the game, if you look hard enough, you can actually see a QR code in one of the levels, and when you scan it, it takes it to the Sonic Omens Patreon. They desperately, they really want people to spend money on this. So, yeah, Sonic Omens is not a quality assured product, and Ouroboros Studio is not even a legit company. Dare I say, it's a company that's no different than the triple A development scumbags out there like EA or Activision Blizzard or Konami or anyone else that's just fucking up on an almost daily basis. Okay, yeah, this sucks, because when you have a 3D Sonic fan game that is the level of what Sonic Team is producing, naturally you would think that the history behind it would be a good one. This right here, this is not. This is awful. I feel for anyone that suffered through this shit. I don't feel for people who's doing all the finger pointing, all the harassing, all the cyberbullying, and that's all that this is. It's just, this is cyberbullying at its worst. And that's something that should not be tolerated or condoned. And the fact that Sega was just keeping an eye on them and not really doing anything to shut the project down, at the very least taking down the Patreon. Again, on Sega's side of things, they really should have taken the initiative and not just had a bird's eye view of the situation. They should have known. Okay, done some digging around and see what it is that they were doing, and then they should have just forced them to pull the plug. No. No. In fact, yeah, everyone has a reason to dislike Sonic Omens. And for those that don't know what Sonic Omens is, back then, I didn't even see the full game in action, because I looked up videos on it. A lot of people were saying it's bad, the gameplay is bad, people were mixed on it, people said it was a masterpiece. I was just ambiguous of the whole thing until I saw the game in action, and I can honestly say that Sonic Omens is not a quality assured product, and Ouroboros Studios really needs to be held accountable for all the shit that they've done. So this will conclude my reading of this Google document here. Jesus Lord, man. This whole thing is a fucking mess.